I'm Charlie.
I'm Mikaze. Welcome back to our channel! Yay!
In this video, we're going to be sharing our timeline and experience with applying for Canadian PR through spousal sponsorship as common law.
We started dating at the end of 2014 and moved in together after a month.
And at this point, we weren't thinking about PR and didn't even know about the options of applying for PR as common law. When we moved in together, we signed a rental agreement where I was the tenant and Mikaze was an occupant. And this is a really good document to have because it's something we submitted along with our PR application. We also updated all of our addresses for our individual bank accounts and our bills. At this time, we didn't set up a joint bank account or a joint credit card account, and that's because our relationship had just started. But if you're in a longer relationship and you're comfortable with it, then we recommend opening a joint account right away. Before moving in together, I also introduced Mikaze to my parents.
In the summer of 2015, my mom and sister came to visit us in Canada. We took them to Whistler and introduced them to Charlie's parents.
Luckily, we took many photos throughout our relationship with our friends and families, and we submitted some of these as photo evidence. If you're not married or have been married for only 2 years and don't have any kids, then you're going to have to submit a maximum of 20 photos to support your relationship. And we recommend submitting the maximum because 20 isn't that much. We believe you should prioritize 2 types of pictures. The first is pictures with friends and family to show the people around you know about your relationship and embrace it. If you only submit pictures of just the 2 of you, then the immigration agent might question the authenticity of your relationship. The second is pictures of events and outings taken during various seasons throughout the span of at least a year. You don't want to take pictures at parks and beaches each month, because it's going to be hard to distinguish a picture taken between May and September when the weather's really nice. Instead, you want to choose pictures of special events, like Canada Day and Christmas, where you can take a picture in front of a sea of people wearing red waving the red maple leaf flag, or in front of a Christmas tree. Pictures taken at sporting events and concerts work very well because you can prove the date by keeping the event tickets. Likewise, photos from vacations are also really good evidence because you can hold on to your flight tickets or hotel receipts.
I started attending the college at the end of the summer of 2015, and we started discussing about my status in Canada.
With Mikaze's student visa expiring in late 2016, our initial plan was to apply for her permanent residence in the summer of 2016. However, I was very naive and I did only basic research in the beginning of 2016 and really only started taking this serious until in the summer of 2016. So Mikaze was really upset more than a few times, and so it's really important to be working together throughout this whole process. After I did my basic research back in the beginning of 2016, I did take the initiative to set up a joint bank account and a bit later on a joint credit card account. And through these accounts, we tried to pay for all of our joint expenses such as groceries, utilities, and internet. And we were able to submit some of these statements as part of our evidence for our application. If you do set up joint bank accounts or credit card accounts, it would be ideal to actually have expenses going through those accounts to show that you actually live together, rather than having the accounts be dormant. During this time, we also updated our marital status with the Canada Revenue Agency and filed our income taxes as common law.
In the summer of 2016, we went on our first vacation to LA to visit a couple of our friends. We kept and submitted our flight tickets and pictures from this trip.
After this vacation, we finally started to do serious research about the documents and forms required for the PR process. And we came across this free information session that was specifically targeted for Japanese nationals applying for PR through family sponsorship, and we decided to attend this. After this free information session, we made an appointment with the consultant and bought 3 hours worth of credit. And with the first hour, we went over all the documents that we had to gather and clarified what we needed to get from Japan.
We went to Japan in the fall of 2016 to gather required documents such as criminal record and family register, and stayed there for a couple weeks since it took time to process the documents.
Throughout the month of November, we gathered all of our remaining documents, and I've prepared a list in front of me here, so I'm going to read off this list of some of the documents that we've prepared. We filled out all of our application forms. We made copies of our passports. We got Mikaze's family register translated by a certified translator. We made copies of her rental agreement. We got a letter from our landlord confirming our tenancy, and I also got a letter from my employer stating my salary and hire date, etc., and printed out my latest notice of assessment. I updated the beneficiary of my life insurance to Mikaze, and we made the payment of the permanent residence fees to Immigration Canada and printed out the receipt. We printed out all of our photos and included dates and descriptions for those. We printed out some joint bank accounts and joint credit card statements and printed out bills showing that we live at the same address. When we were applying, we had to submit a document called the Statutory Declaration of Common Law. And apparently this document is only required now for applying for the open work permit, but nevertheless, it is a good document to have. And what this document is it's a form that you and your partner have to fill out, and it has to get notarized, and it basically just says you've been in a common law relationship. We also had to submit statutory declarations from our friends and family, and these are simply letters signed by our friends and family in front of a notary, which confirmed our relationship. And reviewing the June 2019 version of the checklist, it looks like this requirement has been relaxed.
I took a medical exam a month before submitting our application.
A major change to the current system is that you will be taking the medical exam after you submit your application, when you receive instructions from Immigration Canada. Another important change is that you have to submit your police certificates with your initial application. Once we got all of our documents, we went back to our consultant for a final check to ensure all of our documents were there. Then we couriered our package to Immigration Canada at the end of November 2016. I received confirmation from Immigration Canada that I was approved as a sponsor in mid-December 2016. We really struggled to decide whether to apply for inland or outland. We both really wanted to be together, so we were very close to applying inland, but ultimately decided to go for outland for two main reasons. The first one being that Mikaze wouldn't have been able to work for at least 2 or 3 months until she received an open work permit, and that wouldn't have been good for her mental health. The second reason is that back when we applied, the processing time for an outland application was 12 months and an inland application was 18 months. So it was going to be a concern for us if Mikaze wasn't able to travel for 18 months. If you're confused about inland and outland applications, you can check out our video about the 5 things to know before applying for PR.
I flew back to Japan shortly after Charlie was approved as a sponsor. And in hindsight, this was the right decision because I was able to work at Google Japan, and living apart made it easier when I became a flight attendant. In June 2017, we received an email from Immigration Canada notifying that my application was almost complete. We had to submit my passport with a couple face photos within 30 days.
Mikaze couriered these documents to me, and I couriered them to Immigration Canada. One point to make here is that the original request from Immigration Canada was to mail Mikaze's passport to a PO box. And I didn't feel comfortable mailing a passport, so I emailed Immigration Canada and requested an address we can courier the package to. In July 2017, I received a package from Immigration Canada with Mikaze's passport and her confirmation of permanent residence, which expired in early December 2017. So this meant that Mikaze had to re-enter Canada by this time, and I couriered these documents to her in Japan right away.
I returned to Canada in October 2017. One important note is that you must not sign the confirmation of a permanent residence until you enter Canada. It must be signed when instructed by the officer at immigration. I received my PR card in the mail in November 2017.
We applied for Mika's PR back in November 2016 and officially got approved in July 2017. So our experience was actually much shorter than we anticipated at only 8 months. The reason why our process was very quick is because our application was quite simple. Mikaze and I were living together throughout our relationship and we kept a lot of our documents. Also, we didn't sponsor any dependents or family members. So we hope you don't compare your timeline to ours because every application is different and the timing may differ depending on all the factors. We hope this video made it easier for you to plan your PR application.
If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Bye bye!